Hi everyone, in this video we are going to solve a problem. The problem name is capacity to ship packages within D days and the problem number is 1011. Alright, so first of all we are going to clearly understand what this problem says. After that we are going to move to the logic part and after that we are going to implement our logic in C++, Java and Python programming language. Alright, so now let's see what this problem says. A conveyor belt has packages that must be shipped from one port to another within D days. So there is a conveyor belt and that has to load some packages from one port to another within given days. Fine. After that, their ith packages on the conveyor belt has a weight of height. So guys, here we are given the weights array, and the weight array is nothing but the given the weights of all the packages. So you can the first package has a weight 1, the second package has a weight 2, and third package has a weight 3, and so on up to this. Right? Each days we load the ship with packages on the conveyor belt. So every day, or we can say every day, we have to load the ship with this given packages in on the conveyor belt, right, in the order given by weights. So that means we can't load first we load this package, then we can't load 9 package directly. We have to load second package, after that we have to load third package, and so on up to this, right, in the given order. All right, now this is clear. We may not load more weight than maximum weight capacity of the ship. Now guys, there is a limit of weight. Like if let's say weight limit is 5, that means we can't load more than 5 weight on the conveyor belt, right? So we can load only that number of package, or maybe single packages whose weight is less than or equal to 5. If the weight coming more than 5, then we can't load that number of package on a conveyor belt. Fine. Now we have to return the least weight capacity of the ship that will result in all the packages on the conveyor belt being shipped within D days. So guys, it says that we have to return the minimum weight we have to put on the conveyor belt so that we can ship all these packages, we can load all these packages and we can ship from one port to another in the given days, right? So what it means, if you're not getting this from this particular lines, then try to understand with example one, right? So here we are given the days 5. That means we have to deliver, or we have to transfer, we have to load all these packages and we have to ship all these packages from one port to another. Let's say from this port to this port, and in that 5 or less than 5 days, fine. So now a conveyor belt is there. Let's say this is a conveyor belt, and we have to how many number of we can say weight we can put on their conveyor belt, and every day it is going to load only that particular number of weights. So if I say we are going to load the output is 15, right? So let's say we are going to load 15 only, right? So you can see the first day it's going to load all these packages 5, because the sum of all these packages is nothing but 15, right? So we loaded on the one day this much package, right? So now my array is nothing but this much, right? All right, now I can say I have left with 4 days. I have to load all these packages within less than or equal to 4 days, right? So next day I load let's say 6 and 7. I can't load 6, 7, 8, because if I load these three we can say packages, then my sum is nothing but 21, right? And you can see I put a maximum weight 15 for now, right? So I have put up 15, so I can load this much, fine. And I have left with now 3 days. So now I in the next day I can load this one. I'm left with 2 days, and next day I can load 9, and next day I can load 10, right? So I took 5 days to load all these things, right? But I took a bait minimum bait that is 15, right? So if I take a less than 15, let's say 14 or 10, then you can see that I can't, it is not possible to load all these packages to other from one port to another in just 5 days. It's going to take more than 5 days, right? So the minimum weight was 15, right? All right, so now guys, how we can solve this particular problem? Now let's see. I hope now you understood this problem. Let's see the logic part, how we can solve this particular problem. So guys, for this you need to understand a graph, right? Not I'm not talking about graph data structure. I'm going to say I'm talking about a graph. Like I'm going to draw a graph, or we can say I'm going to draw a chart. All right. So now let's make a graph with a, we can say, weight. Here is a weight. Here is a days, right? Now guys, this is let's say a graph. Let me make it a more for weight. So fine. So this is W and this is D. Fine. Now guys, I'm saying that this is nothing but, let's say weight is 100 and starting from 10. Why starting from 10? Because I know the maximum value is nothing but 10 in this example one, fine. So I can at max, if I have to transfer one package only, then I need to at least give a weight of that conveyor belt is 10, right? Because I can't break the package. It's not like the weight is 10 and I have put a maximum limit or minimum limit 5 weight. So I'm going to break this 10 into 2 part. It's not like you have to transfer the package without breaking it, right? So the minimum weight I have to put to a conveyor belt is 10, right? Fine. And the maximum weight, it can be the sum of all these weights, that is 55, because I can, it's possible that I can transfer all these packages in just 1 day, right, by giving a maximum weight 55. So I put it 100 for now, but for us let's say 55, right? Fine. Now guys, tell me, if I am taking a weight, let's say 55 only, then how many days it gonna take? 1 day, right? So if I say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, right? And let's keep it more, so this is 7. I have this much is clear to you. Why I make it small? Because I don't want to make it less than this. All right, now guys, I have 7 days is going till 7 and weight is going to 10 to 105. So if I took a 55, then my number of days is going to take only one, right? It's going to transfer all the package in one day, right? If I take days, let's say 40, then assume that it's going to take, because it's going to take, let's say 3 days, right? If I take 15, then we already know that it's going to take 5, right? But if I'm going to take 10, it's going to take 6. So can't you see that, guys, this is going to be a decreasing graph, strictly decreasing, or strictly decreasing, not we can see, but a decreasing graph, right? And we know that if by it is so, we know that if we are taking a weight 40, and if it is possible to transfer all the package in less than 5 days or equal to 5 days, then we know that if we take maximum, if we take more than 50 or 40, 50 or 55 or 100, then we know that it's going to take less than 5. It's going to take, not going to take more than 5, right? It definitely going to take either less than or equal to this 45. So here you know that if we 15 is going to take 5 days, right? If I take any weight more than 15, we know that it also going to take less than or equal to 5. It's not going to take more than 5, right? So that is the basically logic. We are getting here a monotonic graph. That means if the weight is going to increase, the number of days is going to be decrease, right? So this is monotonic graph. And here, if it is a monotonic, then we can use definitely binary search. Remember this point, guys. If we are having a monotonic graph, that means we can use a binary search algorithm, because here we have something strictly increasing or decreasing, right? So this is monotonic decreasing graph. Fine. So we know that we are going to use a binary search. Now guys, let's try to drive in this code and see how binary search is going to help it, right? So as we know that low is nothing but 10 and high is nothing but 100, right? So we're going to use a binary search. So it's going to give a weight, we can say mid value, mid, low plus high divided by 2, right? So if we do low plus high divided by 2, 10 plus 55 divided by 2, I'm going to take high 55. So it is going to take 65 divided by 2, right? So that is nothing but 32. So 32 will come like here. And for this 32, our, let's say, day is going to take 4, right? I'm assuming that 4. So I know that for I have a now two part, 10 to 32 and 32 to 55. So I know that in this part, 32 to 55, definitely I'm going to get a less weight. I'm not going to take more than this particular days, 4 days, right? So if it is taking 4 days, then all this weight between 32 to 55, it's going to also take less than or equal to 4, but it's not going to take more than 4, right? But my condition is that I can take maximum 5 days, right? So I just need to find a weight which can take 5 days or less than 5 days, the least minimum weight, right? So I can say 32 is the answer, right? It is my answer, but is there any weight exist on the left side? So I am going to decrement my high. I'm going to say now my high should be this one, right? 31, 32 minus 1, 31, and this one I can say this is now nothing but now my search space will be like this. Earlier it was whole, but now it is going to be like this. And now I have to try to find, is there any value, mid value exist, who can solve my, who can transfer all the data within these given days, right? So now I am going to decrement high and I'm going to move to the left side. But if it is not the possible, let's say 32 is going to take us 10 days, right? So now I know that 32 is not possible case. So I'm going to increment, or I'm going to move to the right side. I'm going to say, just find out, is there any between this 32 and 55 which can take a less than or equal to my given days. So if I'm getting a value which is greater than my days, then I have to move to the right side. Otherwise, I have to move to the left side. So that was the basically binary search. Now, guys, there's a problem also. How will you going to find whether 32 is going to take how many days? So we need to use a function in for mid value that tell me how many days it's going to take for this particular mid value, right? So everything we are going to see in implementation part, but for this part, for this logic part, you must know what algorithm we are going to using and how this algorithm going to work. And I believe you must know right now, right? By now you understood that why we need to use a binary search and how it's going to solve a problem in just log of n time complexity and n log of n. We will say time complexity will be n log of n, because every particular mid value we are going to checking the whole arrays and we are finding whether how many days it's going to take, right? So let's move to the implementation part, and there we are going to understand how we can do this particular thing, right? So let's see first of all with the Python programming language. Now let's move to the LeetCode. All right, so here it's gonna, let me reload this. Okay, fine. Now guys, what we are going to do, we are going to say first of all we are going to find a low. So I find a low. Now guys, inside of low, what will be the low value? It should be the maximum value of weight, right? Fine, because at least we need to take that particular weight. Now after that, once we find a low, we have to find a high as well. That is going to be sum of weight, right? Fine, once we find a high and low, we're going to use a binary search, that is while low is less than equal to high, we're going to find a mid, that is going to be low plus high divided by 2, right? Once we find a mid, we are going to check a function. We're going to use a function, right? So function name, let's say I put it true, is true, and if it is true for mid, fine. If it is true for mid, that means we have to move high to low. We can say we have to move high, and that is if it is true, that means we can say that is possible. So we can say high should be equal to mid minus 1. Move left side and try to find whether there is also a possible answer or not. And if it is not the case, then you have to move low, right? Low should be mid plus 1. Fine. And we are going to use is true function as well, so we have to define that function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say here, let's say define is true, and here is going to take a mid value, and we are going to say count is 0. Count is nothing but, let's say d is 0. Right now we need just one day, right? And my sum is total is 0, right? So we're going to traverse for value in weights, and we're going to say d plus equal to, or we can say s plus equal to value, right? We're going to adding the values, right? If my s is greater than my mid, means it is greater than the max mid value, we can say weight, which we have just right now took, right? So if it is greater than our minimum weight, then we can say sum is going to be equal to value, and you have to increase the day. We need one more day to pass this value, or we can say pass this particular packages, right? At the end we are going to say return if d is less than or equal to days, means we are able to solve, or we are able to transfer all the packages within given days, right? So if it is true, then it is going to return true, otherwise it is going to return false. So if it is returning true, that means we have to move to the left side. If it is not returning true, that means we have to move to the right side. Once we are done this, we are going to return our low, right? So let's try to run this code, see whether we are getting any error or not. So you can see that all the test cases are passed. Now let's try to submit this code. And guys, you can see that it's successfully submitted, right? So I hope you understood this problem. Now let's move to the another programming language, that is nothing but C++, right? All right, so in C++, what we are going to do, first of all, we have to find a low. So we can say low is nothing but, we can use a one function, that is max element, and we can pass weights. Let's say, let me find weights dot begin. All right, and we can say weights dot end, right? Once we find here we have to use a pointer asterisk as well, because this is going to give us iterate, right? Once we are done with this, we are going to find high as well, that is going to be nothing but sum of the whole weights. So we can say use another function reduce, and we can pass weights dot begin and weights dot end, right? Fine. Once we are done with this, we are going to use while low, means Vanessa, while low is less than equal to high. So let me write high. Okay, and we are going to say just find a mid value, that is going to be low plus high divided by 2, right? Fine. All right, now once we are done with this mid value, we are going to use a one function, that is nothing but is true, right? So we are going to say is true if it is true for mid, and as we are going to use a function, so we have to pass here in C++ weights. So we are going to pass weights, and we are going to pass let me write a weights, and here we are going to pass mid value as well as this, right? If it is true, that means where we have to move, we have to move to the left side. So we are going to say high should be mid minus 1, but if it is not the case, then low should be mid plus 1. I have this much clear to you. So we are done with this. We are going to return low, and we just left with one function. We have to define this is true function. So let's say here I'm going to say it is going to give a boolean value. So bool is true, and here we are going to pass nothing but first of all a vector. So let me vector. Let me write a vector, and here I'm going to say int, and let's say weight. Fine, and after that I'm going to take mid, and after that I'm going to take days, right? So here I'm going to say first of all I have to define int d, which is nothing but 1, and I have to define sum, which is nothing but 0, right? So I'm going to say for int data on weights, I'm going to say add your s plus equal to data if your s is greater than your mid value. So what we can do, we can say s is equal to data, and day should be incremented, right? So we can do plus equals. Once we are done this, we are going to say return just number of days should be less than this, right? So your day should be less than or equal to day. If it is the same case, that means it is going to return true, otherwise it is going to return false. Now let's try to run this code and see whether we are getting any error or not. And you can see that all the test cases are passed. So let's try to submit this code, and it also gets submitted, right? So now let's move to the next programming language, that is nothing but Java, right? So let me take Java. And here guys, first of all, we are going to find nothing but, here we have to use a manually, because in Java I could not able to find out the inbuilt function which can return a maximum or some value, right? So I'm going to say int low is going to be initially nothing but 0, and int let's say high also 0. All right, so let me define here high, that is nothing but 0. Fine. Now guys, once we are done with this, so let me write here 0, what happened. So all right, so we are going to traverse over this. So for int data in weights, let me write weights, and here I'm going to say what I can say, low I have to take maximum, so I can say math dot max low comma data, right? So I have to take maximum value from weights, and another thing which we have to take is nothing but high, which is going to be sum, right? So high plus equal to data. So once we have done this, we go to low and high. We are going to use a while, again low less than equal to while such. All right, so once we have done this, we are going to find a mid value. So I can say int mid is going to be low plus high, let me write plus high. Okay, and it is going to be divided by 2. Fine. Once we have done this, we are going to use is true function, which is going to use weights, which is also going to take a mid. So let me write him mid, and which is also going to take days. And if it is returning true, that means we have to move to the left side. So we can say high should be equal to mid minus 1. Otherwise, we have to move to the right side. So we can say low is going to be mid plus 1. So let me write this. So once we have done this, we are going to return nothing but low, right? And here we have to define this function as well. So I'm going to say public boolean, and I give a function name is true, and this is going to take int weight. Let me write weights, and it's going to take int mid, it's going to take int days as well, right? So after that, what we can say int d, which is nothing but 1. Let me write here 1, and int s, which is nothing but going to take a sum, so it is going to be nothing but 0. So we are going to say int data in weights. All right, so we are going to say something. We are going to say s plus equal to data, and if s is greater than mid, then we can define s is equal to data, and we can say count your day should be incremented. After that, you have to return just d should be less than equal to days. If it is the case, that means it is true, right? So now let's try to run this code and see whether it's submitting or not. So first let's check it, right? So you can see all the test cases are passed. So now let's try to submit this code. And here also it successfully got submitted. I hope you understood the problem. You understood why we use a binary set, and you understood the logic part as well. And if you have any kind of doubt, you can ask in the comment section. I'm always there to help you. If you learn something new in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video.